Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Strategy Hacker live stream. I'm Shelly Palmer, and I hope everything is going great for you today. It's Wednesday, 3 o'clock here in New York City. And if you are with us today on YouTube, on LinkedIn, I think the LinkedIn people are having a little bit of trouble today. It looks like data is getting sent, but it doesn't look like data is getting received. So the data gods giveth, yet the data gods taketh away. Please check in from wherever you are on chat. This is the whole point of Strategy Hacker live stream. It's all kind of my office hours. So if you are here, please tell us where you are and not only where you are, but maybe what you do so that other people can interact with you on chat today while we're waiting for everyone to arrive. And looks like we got a good crowd starting to form. Welcome, Periscope people. I know this is almost the end for you. I'm sorry that you're going to be uh, twittered out of existence, as it were. But yeah, there's not much we can do about it. While we're waiting, we'll do a little bit of housekeeping. And everybody, as you're logging in and checking in, please feel free to not only ask me anything in the chat, but also talk amongst yourselves. Tell us where you are, what part of the world you're in, and of course, maybe one line about what you do. That would help us a lot so that other people can learn about the cool stuff that you're into. Not your resume, not of course, just a little bit about what you do and where you're from. So we're here today on YouTube Live. Welcome, Gary. Glad to have you here. Kathy, glad to have you here too. From rainy Southern California. It's actually pretty nice here in New York today, tell you the truth. We're all here today on YouTube Live. Of course, we are attempting to stream to LinkedIn Live, and that doesn't look great today. It looks like we're sending data and nothing's happening. Donald Levine, welcome. And Kathy, welcome from Los Angeles. So, yeah, we're also mourning the loss of Periscope, which is such a wonderful platform, but just for whatever reason, YouTube isn't going to support it anymore, which is unfortunate. Hey, Steve Catola, welcome from Colorado. And Don, I know you're in Westbury, New York. Welcome. I'm glad you are all here. If you are here, you're probably already a PGX member. Howie Schwartz in the Hudson Valley, welcome. And so happy to have Matt Griffiths from London, rainy London. Okay. Well, yeah, you're probably all PGX members. If you're not a PGX member, now is the perfect time. There's a link in the description. There's also an invitation or a link, an invite link to my Discord server. That's a community that's just starting to take advantage of that platform. A lot of people like it, and it's on all day where I am, so I get those messages. If you've got questions during the week, it's a good place to reach out. Our public Discord, which is just Shelly Palmer. The link is in the program description. Yes, Henry, glad to see you're here. Glad you're in sunny Chicago. And we will definitely talk about why the $50 subsidy for the internet is a bad idea. It's not really a bad idea. It's just going to be executed poorly. I think that's the better way to describe what the issues are. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. Whenever there's something that's doing good for people who are can't quite do as well for themselves, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just the program itself seems a little ill-conceived, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Again, welcome everyone. If you're here, please just check in on chat because this is an AMA that's chat-based. And not only would I like you to check in, but tell us where you're from and, of course, your name and what you do so that people in chat can interact with you. You're probably a PGX member. It's a private social network, as most of you know. We have more than 3,000 members now. We've been growing very nicely. It's invitation only, but if you're listening here today, you're invited because this is a very self-selecting group, and I'm really happy to have you here. So please feel free to click the link and join PGX. You'll find some interesting people there. We talk about all kinds of stuff: technology, media, marketing, health, education, you name it, politics, more than probably we should, but everyone's got a lot to say about it these days. And while it's less political this week than it has been in a long time, it's still pretty political. So, Tori, welcome from Connecticut, and Richard, welcome from Connecticut, currently in South Carolina. Palmer Computer from Twitch. Hooray for Palmer Computer. That's my brother, the lone Twitch viewer. That's, as each week I say, that's my hill to climb. It really is. I don't know. That's not really my audience, but I'm hopeful. And I love Twitch. I watch about a half hour, 40 minutes of Twitch 2-3 times a week because I just think what the people on Twitch are doing is fantastic. There are some gamers who are just gifted when it comes to crafting these very entertaining shows about, the things that they're passionate about. Some are playing video games, others are just calling out what's happening during the video games. But more than anything, it's a place of sheer joy and immense creativity, which is always fun to watch. Mindy, welcome. And from Cleveland, Ohio. Seth Everett, so happy to have you here. So welcome. Seth and I are going to start a podcast in a couple of days. We're trying to figure out what the name should be. So if any of you have a good idea for a name for a podcast, I don't think Seth knows this yet, so this will shock him. We've been talking internally amongst ourselves, and we're trying to figure out what what a podcast name would be that would be not so serious and not so taking ourselves so seriously. So we own a URL we've had for years and years and years. The URL is askshelly.com. And so so as a joke, I think it was Joey said, Ask Shelly with Seth Everett. That's the name of the podcast. And I'm like, right. Yes, Seth Everett asks Shelly Palmer all the questions you can ask. And I thought we could make something out of that. I don't know if that's going to live through the night, but right now we're just trying to figure out what the name of this thing should be. So we'll take your ideas and, keep them coming. And Seth, that we're just asking everybody. Dave McClain, the Bowery Boys. I love it. Welcome, Timothy Brooks. Glad you're here. Thank you, everybody. And again, we're here. Jim Thomas, thank you for checking in from Minneapolis. We are here to answer your questions. It's important for you to not only chat with me, but chat amongst yourselves. And of course, put your questions here in chat, because whatever questions you ask here in chat, I'll be able to answer for you here directly. I want to hear from you even offline. So Shelly at shellypalmer.com is a great place to reach me. At Shelly Palmer is my DM at Twitter, is my Twitter handle. You can follow me on Twitter if you are so desire. Twitter is a interesting platform nowadays. It's quieter and much more what it used to be, which is a great place for professional communication. So please feel free to follow me on Twitter at Shelly Palmer or DM me. Happy to chat with you there. As you all know, because I know you've all been with me for quite some time, this is a wonderfully loyal audience. I appreciate it. So you'll forgive me for just going through this. Two cool peas in a podcast. David Hool. Yeah, I love it. Two cool peas in a podcast. Outstanding. The salons we do each week, we have 4 salons a week. They're from 11:05 to 11:30 each morning, weekdays from Monday to Thursday. On Mondays, we do education technology. It's a wonderful group of people. We talk about, let me wait for it, education. And that group, that's a robust group, a bunch of professors. We've got some college professors from some esteemed universities. We've got people from smaller colleges. We've got K through 12 educators, people that are in the tech side of the business. It's a wonderful group. And if you are into or interested in education tech, Mondays, 11:05, you can get your credentials at shellypalmer.com/salon. We don't really restrict credentials to this group, and we try to keep the conversation pretty high level. So feel free to request credentials at shellypalmer.com/salons. Leading Edge Tech is Tuesdays. That's where all the cool kids are. We talk about everything from quantum computing to AR and VR and MR and XR and the latest gizmos and gadgets, smart home. If it's kind of emerging and kind of interesting, we kind of talk about it on Tuesdays. It's a wonderful group. Let's see. Matt Griffiths. What do we write here? I like Ask Shelly Palmer or Shelly Cast. That's wonderful. Yeah, we got to come up with something that's not like too serious, because I don't want to, it's not my personality to be that serious. On Wednesdays, this morning, we did health and wellness tech. This is the one that eludes me. We used to have a lot of doctors and medical people. Now we have a lot of people who are just interested in health, and which is wonderful. So it's become more, the Wednesday's like the water cooler. If we're not careful and it doesn't get more into health tech, because we always talk about COVID, the vaccines, people's vaccine experiences. And masks and what have you. If it doesn't get more into medical technology and health tech over the next couple of weeks, I think we're going to make it a general water cooler day because it's actually a fantastic group, and it's a wonderful respite in the middle of the week. It's Wednesday and people just show up and chit chat, which is great. But it hasn't been as focused on health and wellness tech as I had hoped. And from a technology standpoint, that's something I really wanted to see happen. On Thursdays, by far the biggest salon, and it always breaks out into half a dozen or more breakout rooms, is tech, media, and marketing. This is really the core of our business: technology, media, and entertainment. Technology, media, and marketing. We've been doing it for the better part of 35 years, so 40 years. So it doesn't surprise me that it's the biggest one. It's such a large and diverse group of people in all areas, and they converge beautifully. As you know, we're living a cross-discipline world right now. So that's just, it makes sense that tech touches everything and everything touches tech. And that's really what Thursdays are about. We do talk about emerging technology on Thursdays as well. Usually there's a big tech story. There's several big tech stories this week we're going to cover today. Again, it's AMA, so please ask me anything. Put your questions in chat. I'm very proud of myself today. I was able to use a little piece of software today called Ultramon, which I'll talk about in a second. It's helped me out a bit. One last thing in the housekeeping before we get started today. At courses.shellypalmer.com, we have a whole bunch of free resources and a couple paid courses as well. We've got trend reports. It was really interesting this past week. Somebody who sent me a note, and I should remember their name. I feel sad that I don't. It actually happened last week, I think. Wrote an article about SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And I've written extensively about it. And we've got a free template there based on the blog post that I wrote. We use that tool a lot. SWOT, it's pretty good as a way to start a conversation and focus a group. If you want to just start thinking about a strategic approach to anything, it's not bad to list your strengths, list your weaknesses, the threats, and the opportunities. So I've written extensively about it. We have a template there. And the author of the article in Harvard Business Review was saying that they have a much better way. And they were using mine as the finest example of what they thought was the old way. So, but he linked to the blog post, which was very courteous, I think. So anyway, we've had a run on our SWOT diagrams, our SWOT templates this week, and the article and the little instruction set, thousands of downloads. It's really funny. I was going to write him and yell at him, but I was like, hey, you know what? The only thing worse than being talked about is not being talked about. I'm good. You're not happy with my approach. I'd love to learn your approach. That's fantastic. Lastly, if you're going to do anything today with Twitter or any place else that you might want to post, #StrategyHacker, if you would, I'd appreciate it. And that's the housekeeping for today. We're done with our housekeeping, at least for now. So in chat, your name, where you are, what the weather's like today, perhaps, and any questions you might have about anything, because I'm good. I will happily talk about anything today. So why am I excited about Ultramon, Ultramon? The website looks like it was built in 1995. The interface is horrifying. It is as primitive can be. In fact, there's really no UI whatsoever. It ends up in the system tray in your Windows computer. It's for Windows only. What does Ultramon do? Well, it turns out there's no way to mirror a monitor in Windows without some external software. Can't flip the screen, and you especially can't flip it so that it can be mirrored, not mirrored screen to screen, literally flipped so that you can put it under a teleprompter. Now I've got two teleprompters in this room. I have one of the camera I'm looking at, and I have one on camera 2 that I use every day when I do my daily videos. And I've always wanted to either put Zoom or the chat that we're doing now up in the teleprompter so I wouldn't have to be looking over here while I'm talking to you. And it has been impossibly hard to flip any kind of chat client. Yeah, truly impossibly hard. So I feel that I have achieved something miraculous today in that I was able to find this little piece of obscure software. I mean, really obscure. And I now can see the chat directly in the teleprompter. So now I can look right at the camera the whole time. I don't have to look away, which is pretty great. Yeah, we'll talk about NFT, cryptocurrency. NFT is like the new coolest thing ever. We'll definitely do that. Welcome, David, from Denver, 64 degrees today and rainy, snow tomorrow. Yeah, yeah. It's nice here today in New York. I'm excited. I'm going to go for a walk after this. All right. So the first question that we were asked was about the $50 internet, I guess the internet subsidy. Is that that's what I think we have to call it. That's what we will call it today. So let's talk about that for a second. Where do you get your $50 a month internet credit and what is it? So the FCC has a program called Lifeline, and it is a $9.95 per month subsidy that they give to cable providers. And the goal of this subsidy, well, I should say they made a deal with cable providers for $9.95 a month. You can get 25 by 3 if you prove that you are a low income household or if you can prove need. And they have a full set of ways you do that. There's some integration with the food stamps program. There's some integration with various other programs that would allow the carrier to understand that you have a need. And then you can get $9.95 a month access to the internet at 25 megabits down, 3 megabits up. It's not a wonderful broadband package. It just isn't. But it's cheap, and where you need it, you need it. And I think the most important part of that is, this is a program the FCC has had for a while. They just approved a new program. The program here, which is you can find at broadbandbenefit.gov. See if I can just write that up for you. It's fcc.gov/ yeah, I think that's right. I'm pretty sure that I'm right about this. I'm pretty sure it's this. I think it's this. I think this is what it is. Now, if you go there, and you might as well, because we're talking about it, if you go there, then what you'll see is that, first of all, it's approved, but they haven't got a start date. They're asking for carriers to apply. Their goal here is to give a $50 per month discount to people who need it. And they've included, you can prove need, again, same way, food stamps, certain programs that you might be taking part in or participating in. But they've also done a thing where it just looks like a carrier subsidy to me. And discounting $600 a year, that's real money. So yeah, you might be able to qualify if you've lost your job because of the pandemic, or you qualify for Lifeline. You must qualify for Lifeline apparently to get this. Again, they don't have a start date, but the thing that this looks like to me is like, why? Why not just take Lifeline and expand it? And the answer is the money's coming from different places. Henry, I know that this is the right thing to do, and I know people are hurting, and you know that one of my personal causes, one of the things I care the most about, is the digital divide and the fact that in way too many places in the United States, you just can't get internet access, let alone good internet access. And where internet access is available, if it meets a certain standard, then people like 25.3, then people are okay with it. And I'm like, wait a minute. No, 25.3 is not, I mean, it's better than nothing for sure, but that's not right. It's just not right. So it's one of my most, to me, it's one of the most important things we can do for our children and our posterity. There's nothing about having kids sit in their parents' car outside of a fast food restaurant to get broadband access to do schooling during COVID that makes any sense to me. And none of that makes sense to me. And if you can't get at least 25.3 in your house, there's no way you're doing streaming school. There's so many other problems that have to do with the digital divide, where you live, what kind of house you live in, what kind of equipment you might have access to, your parents work. Is there a quiet place for you to do your schoolwork while other things are going on, or mom and dad working from home? It's not an uncomplicated issue at all. But as a baseline, you've got to have connectivity, because you can't even start the conversation unless there's connectivity. So I'm not in any way down on anything that gets more people connected to the internet during these times, whether it's for commerce, to start your side hustle. I don't care what it is. Everybody deserves to be connected to the internet, like everybody deserves a road to drive on. The difference is your car can drive on a road that isn't paved as long as it's clear. In most cars, you don't have internet access, you don't have it. Anything below 25.3, it's going to be hard to put kids on Zoom or WebEx for school. Hard. So yeah, I think it's worth everyone having a look at, again, this is the lower, I'll put this back in the lower third. Everybody just go to fcc.gov/broadband benefit, look at the program, evaluate it, and then decide if this is, something that you think makes any sense at all. And it makes sense to somebody. Someone thinks it's great. So, I don't really know what they're trying to accomplish here. People have asked me, how come you're not just getting an extra $600 against, from the government as a subsidy? They're going to give you $1,200 in a check or $1,400 in a check. Why can't they give you the other $600 and bring it up to $2,000? If they're going to give you $2,000, just give you the extra $600. Why are they making you spend it, in quotes, on the internet? And that's a valid question. There are reasons, obviously, as you see the way the laws are laid out. In one of our salons this week, one of the participants said, and I don't want to call her out by name because I don't want to embarrass her, but one of the participants said that this is not about anything that's good for consumers. This is about a gift to the carriers. I don't know if I'd go that far, but it certainly feels like we have to do something, and I'm not sure this goes anywhere near far enough. Also, the wide range of internet pricing, pretty significant. So we're going to talk about NFTs in a minute. There's some other stuff I want to cover. Let's see. Who asked me? Listen to John Stossel's interview with Edward Snowden and listen to his argument, one that you make, that we're working for the data collecting companies. Very interesting. Oh, I don't know how I could ever be aligned with Edward Snowden and John Stossel. Rick Stossel, to his friends, is a friend of mine, and I have nothing but respect for him. At the end of the day, we are all working for the data elite. Every one of us, all day long. We are workers in the mines. And the reason is very simple. Our data does not have any marginal value to us. All the data that I create on my cell phone, all the data I'm creating right now, all the data that I create when I go online, when I go on Google, when I go browse the web, all the data I collect just walking around from place to place that the proxy servers are picking up from my smartphone. Even if I could package it, which I can't because I don't have a method to package that data, but even if I could package that data, what is my data worth by itself? The short answer is that data is more powerful in the presence of other data. That's what makes data powerful. The more data you have. So if I have your name, that's nice. If your name and your phone number, that's the phone book. Name, address, and phone number, still the phone book. Name, address, phone number, what you had for dinner last night? Oh, wait a minute, now we're getting somewhere. Name, address, phone number, what you had last night, what you had for dinner last night and the last 4 nights? Now I can start looking at some predictive analytics about what you might have tomorrow night or tonight. Now, it's hard to do that with an individual, but when you start to get data on a population, the more data you have, the happier you are, and the more powerfully accurate your confidence intervals. You can get a higher confidence interval, and your predictions will be at a higher confidence level. You've heard me say this a million times before. I'm 78% sure you have a 64% chance of clicking this. Can I get it to 66% chance of clicking it? Can I get my confidence up to, I'm 83% sure that you have a 91% chance of clicking it? That's a slot machine I would stand in front of all day long. You do that with predictive math, and that math comes from data, and that data is generated by you, but it's not actionable by you. You can't make the data actionable. The data elite can. So they collect it, all of it, every ounce of it, and they look for correlation, not causality. The data companies aren't writing a narrative like human beings write. They're not saying that there's any cause and effect where there's a narrative that goes with it. There is correlation to the actions, and it is that correlation that's mathematically analyzed, and then another correlation is predicted by the previous correlations. Said differently and much more simply, if these three things happen, this fourth thing has X% chance of happening. And if you believe that that score is accurate, and that percentage is inside a percentage you're willing to risk and or test, then you test it. And what do I mean by that? You clicked on these three buttons, there's an X% chance you're going to click on that button. I better make that button bigger, brown or blue or greener, better type, less type, change the message, make sure that can I increase your likelihood of clicking that button? Because when these three things happen, I got to put that other button in front of you. I have to. That's what you do with extra data. It's powerful. It's powerful. So I don't know how I got aligned with Edward Snowden on that, but if that's what he was saying to Rick Stossel, he wasn't wrong. He absolutely wasn't wrong. So yeah, let's see. Richard said to Lisa, making government. Oh yeah, people moving all around. I don't know that. Yeah, I don't know that you're absolutely right. I don't know that I can address that or say it any better. So, Carolyn Wall, digital divide is an old story. With online learning, a black mark for America. Well, yeah. I mean, look, the velocity of data is increasing and will always increase, and it has been I mean, we're up to a couple exabytes an hour of data created. To 1986, I think there were 5 exabytes of data created in the history of mankind, including every word ever spoken. It's just I think the actual data set, I'm sorry, that was spoken words. Data set, I think, was 227 exabytes, like all in. And now it's a couple exabytes an hour. We're crunching a lot of data. So it's got to travel. Data has to be stored, has to travel, has to be analyzed, has to be turned into action. And that's accelerating at a ridiculous rate of speed. And is it exponential? Is it a tetrated rise? It's a lot. It's a lot. And so you can't even look to the past and say we knew anything about the future. We could guess, but I don't know if we got it right. I'm pretty sure we didn't get it right, to tell you the truth. So yeah, anyway, that's the story. Speaking of data, one of my favorite stories last week, and I promise we'll get to NFTs before the day is over. One of my favorite stories last week was this one. Would you like fries with your AI? I don't know if any of you got a chance to see this. I love this story. So McDonald's, who has been trying hard to make their drive-through experience much better, trying to improve the accuracy, trying to improve the experience. And this has been going on for a long time. And they walk a fine line at McDonald's because if you think about it, it's a microcosm for all the things that are wrong in the world. Certainly, I can use optical recognition to recognize your license plate. I can use any number of tools to recognize your smartphone as you pull up into the driveway of McDonald's drive-thru. I can use face recognition to figure out who you are once you roll down your window. There's so many ways I can figure out who you are. Should I? How great would it be if I queued up your usual order? If I cached your order, There's 6 cars online and you pull into the back of the driveway of the drive-through. I know the last 10 times you were here, you ordered a Big Mac, fries, and a Coke. Do I put an extra Big Mac on the grill? Do I fryer at McDonald's? Do I throw some extra French fries in because I know that's what's coming? Do I have somebody pour an extra large Coke? Because when you get there, that caching of your predicted order, now you can get it wrong because you're predicting an individual, but you're predicting on a good historic, data set. Bayes rule works. That'd be amazing. So they literally walk a line at McDonald's. How much should they do? How much should they attempt to recognize you? What size database? Should it be local? Should it be national? Is that CRM or is that something more invasive? And then for years, there had been experiments there. I'm very good friends with several of the former marketers at McDonald's. Order takers notoriously don't hear as well as they should. First of all, the microphone and speakers are not what they could be. Some wear earphones and have microphones, sort of gamer headsets now. This has been going on for a long time. There's a lot of experience there. The outdoor microphones, depends on ambient noise. There is noise canceling. They've worked hard to make that as good as it can be acoustically. But human beings don't recognize words as well as machines do. And what I mean by that is when you think about natural language understanding, and I do, when you think about natural language understanding, that has nothing to do with speech recognition. Speech recognition is the ability for the computer to recognize the word that's been spoken. Natural language understanding is understanding what's been said. That's easy with a couple of words, especially if there's an action word that's understood, like I want to order, or I need new, or any kind of phrase that would be a call to action. We had Barak Turovsky from Google Translate talking about monolingual understanding and bilingual understanding in the context of Google Translate during our Innovation Series Summit that we did. You can find that at ces.shellypalmer.com. If you go to this URL, you can find his speech there, and he talks very deeply about how hard it is, really how hard it is to get context together with machines. Very, very tough. So what happens at McDonald's is that they won't necessarily need to use natural language understanding. They can, but the speech recognition alone would increase order efficacy something around between 10 and 30%, just getting the words right. Now remember, there's a finite set of words. There's a lot of accents because McDonald's is everywhere and people do speak in a lot of different ways with a lot of different dialects. But computers are great at that, really. And so the last time I looked at speech recognition accuracy, human beings were in the 95th percentile, and the algorithms at Amazon in English were in the 96th, 7th, and 8th percentile, depending on the benchmark test you looked at. AI taking an order, which is really just speech recognition, would be amazing. Add a little bit of natural language understanding to that. Could you shave 20% off the time it takes or the mistakes someone having to pull over and having a bad customer experience because they didn't get what they wanted in the bag? They pulled away from the drive-thru because the person asked them to so they could keep the line moving. But of course, when they checked their order, they had to walk into the restaurant. More problematic during COVID than not. So this is a fascinating area. Then, of course, everybody started to talk about, well, people are going to lose their jobs to the AI. The person who takes the order is going to be replaced. I think net, there'd probably be more jobs, not necessarily at McDonald's. There will be less lower skilled jobs, although I think that taking an order is a pretty highly skilled job, to be fair. Maybe not in the way that you would ordinarily think about skilled jobs, but there's 4 kinds of work: manual, non-repetitive, like working in a field as a farmhand; manual repetitive, like working on an assembly line. Cognitive repetitive, which is what we've replaced with data processing. That's computing stuff, counting stuff, doing things that literally is cognitive, but repetitive. And then the hard one, which is cognitive non-repetitive. This falls somewhere in cognitive repetitive and cognitive non-repetitive because it's the same words all the time, but they're not always in the same order. And it's not as easy as anyone would ever think. So anyway, this is fascinating to me. And I look, drive-through account, they're the largest. McDonald's is the largest. They have 14,000 locations. 95% of their locations have drive-through windows. So this is big. They have, this is a big deal for them. They get this right. And I think they're walking the right line with respect to, how do you get it right? And what does that look like? And what does that feel like if you're McDonald's? So I applaud the effort. I'm pretty excited about what they're doing. Here, we'll take a little humor break. This is a very special handle. This is my TikTok handle. Shelly Palmer 5 on TikTok. Just when I thought I had lost my whole TikTok way, when I thought it was over, when I thought no one on TikTok loved me anymore, I got 150,000 views the other day. Now today I'm back to like under 1,000. Yesterday I had like 4,000 or 5,000. I don't know. I can never tell what's going to get anybody to look at my TikTok on a given day. I really can't, unless I go super negative, in which case it's going to be great. But it's not my personality. I don't like to go super negative. So I don't really go super negative. And because I don't go super negative, it's topic dependent. But Shelly Palmer 5. And if you are if you are inclined to go to TikTok, that's where you'll find me. I like TikTok. You got anybody like as addicted to TikTok as I am? At night, instead of watching TV, I do like a half hour of TikTok, sometimes more, before I go to bed. It has complete on my cell phone. It's completely replaced watching television at night. Used to watch late night television, very late night television. Now it's all TikTok. So anyway, if you are a TikTok person, Shelly Palmer 5, and if you are not on TikTok, you should check it out. It is addictive beyond all addiction. The AI they use to craft their predictive modeling is it is by far the best in the world. It is just never seen anything quite like it. It is just spectacular. Eric Schmidt was, yes, thank you. I don't know who on YouTube just wrote this because I can't see your name. I just see YouTube and your handle. But those 50,000 TikTok hits was the Chinese government. Yeah, thank you. I'm completely sure that's right. And yes, Matt Griffiths, if you are lagging behind your teenager, don't. It's fun. It's not all just kids. It's amazing how fast it'll find out what it is you like and show you what you like, which is cool. And I do talk fast on TikTok, probably too fast, to tell you the truth. That's just the thing. So let's see. I want to move on to another story that's important to me. I wrote this week. I was on television talking about it a little bit. California crafted in 2017, based on the Obama administration and the Obama FCC's 2015 net neutrality principles and net neutrality rules. They crafted a law in California that would be a state law that was based on the Obama rules. And it's called the California Internet Consumer Protection Act and Net Neutrality Act of 2018. Now, if you remember, and I don't know if you do, but if you remember, when the Trump administration came into power, the FCC changed over. They trashed the whole net neutrality thing. It's made it go away. And we got a lot of new rules about maybe we're going to use the Telecommunications Act and we're going to use Title II and we're going to use Section 230 and we're going to do this, that, the next thing. And It's all water under the bridge now because when the Biden administration came in, they've made sort of a switch back to where the Obama administration was with respect to net neutrality. What happened was when Trump came in, his FCC challenged California's law, as did, of course, all the telcos and the cable companies. So California goes to pass their own version of net neutrality. To be fair, it's more strict than the 2015 rules the FCC was proposing. It's a little bit harder core when it comes to what they're calling edge providers, what an edge provider can do, and it may be more inflexible, to be fair, than the Obama FCC's 2015 rules. But at the end of the day, it put it on hold. California was unable to enforce their net neutrality laws. So they just couldn't do it. However, Biden administration comes in pretty much right afterwards. They withdraw the government, the Justice Department withdraws its complaint. And so the only people left in the lawsuit were the telcos, and Judge Mendez in California, a federal judge, on a technicality, I should say on the technical merits of what he believed should and shouldn't work from a legal technical point of view, ruled that this had to be done elsewhere. And he paved the way for California to enforce their law. What I think everyone thinks is going to happen now is California is going to start to enforce this law, and the telcos and cable companies will challenge it in court, which is what I think the judge is hoping will happen. And then the judge also said, look, Congress has to pass a law. But a lot of people don't think that's ever going to happen, because the Congress is pretty much evenly divided. And even if they're not, they're busy with other stuff. And a lot of people believe that if there was a national net neutrality law, that it would be so watered down by partisan politics and lobbyists that it wouldn't have the teeth it needs to protect consumers. If you don't know about net neutrality, there are about 6 places in the country that have their own net neutrality laws. Vermont has it. I want to say Kentucky. You have to look it up. I don't want to speak out of turn here. New York doesn't have one. New Jersey does. New York doesn't. By far, the most aggressive net neutrality rules are drafted in the California law, and we'll see. I've written extensively about it. I don't think it's going to change a lot of our experience right now, but I think over time, this is an important thing for all of us to deal with, because if they're going to throttle our data, if they're going to manage their networks, if they are going to favor and offer paid prioritization, I think that's stuff we ought to care about. Everything we do is online. Everything. Net neutrality is poorly named. The Open Internet Freedom Act was poorly named. All these things are named in these crazy ways, to make them sound like something they aren't. So rather than me sit here and tell you my opinion about it, I have a very strong opinion about it. I also respect a lot of my friends who say the government should get involved in nothing. This is a free market issue and should be free market only. A lot of our clients are telecoms and cable companies, and I feel their pain, and I understand this perfectly. I've said publicly, consumers have to love any law that big corporations hate. Have to. I mean, big corporations hate it for a reason. It's because it's not good for them. So they're not going to make the kind of money they want to make because, this can restrict their ability to do the things that they want to do. So yeah, get involved if you can. I really hope you will. Again, if you're on chat, any questions you have, happy to ask. You really should tell everybody where you're from and what you do so that you can talk amongst each other, because the chat is where all the cool things happen. There was another story this week that I got an amazing amount of responses to is the wrong word. I would say, well, yeah, this has just been a thing. Is 5G a battery killer? So this week, Verizon support, VZ support, they tweeted and then deleted that if, without saying 5G, that you would improve your battery life, person they were tweeting to, if you turned on LTE. But the way they demonstrated turning it on in the tweet meant by default in this iPhone, in your iPhone, that you were turning off 5G. Now, 5G as a battery killer. First of all, the experience that a 5G device gives you, a phone specifically gives you, is richer and more robust than the 4G experience, and it requires more bandwidth, and it uses more bandwidth, which by default will use more battery. It just will. Brighter screen, bigger screen, more graphics, more fun for the whole family. You're going to use more bandwidth, and you are going to use more battery life. Bigger the screen, bigger the drain on the battery. It's just the way it is. The more intense the use of the phone over 5G, the shorter the battery is going to last. Dave Matthews reminded me during one of our salons this week that when 4G happened, when LTE happened, it's exactly everybody started to complain that the 4G phone's battery life was a fraction of what a 3G phone's was. But you could watch a streaming video on a 4G device. You really couldn't do that on a 3G device. I mean, with a robust, great experience. Consider you could listen to music, at a very high resolution for hours on a 3G device, but you couldn't do video that way. So yeah, 5G, same. The other thing that kills battery is that at the moment, and there is no denying this, on Verizon and on AT&T, the 5G networks are incomplete. They will be complete soon. 3 years, 5 years, 2 years, I don't know, soon. But they're not, which means that all calls at the moment are done in 4G. And then if you use data and you're in a 5G area, the data is transferred 5G. The phone is hopping all over the place. 2 radios are in use, sometimes at the same time. That uses more battery. A lot more battery. On my iPhone, if I turn it to LTE only, to 4G, and I use it for the day, the iPhone, this is a 12 Pro Max, gets 30% better battery life if you turn on LTE only and do whatever it is you do. I do not have a diminished streaming issue at all. I don't. And because you can stream in 4G as well as you can stream in 5G. I don't download anything to this phone. So yeah, the downloads, of course, will be faster in 5G, but unless you've got a real use case. Now this phone, this is my Galaxy S21 Ultra. It's a Samsung device. This is a 5G device as well. This is really smart. It sniffs the network it needs, finds a network. I think the battery in here is undersized, although I haven't really had a problem with battery life. This compared to the iPhone, Samsung is an all-day device and then some. And it's also got a giant screen. I mean, these phones are substantially the same size, and Samsung battery manages really nicely. So when you go to the settings and connections and your mobile network, and you set this to 4G, it didn't make any difference at all. Same test, ran the phones together. This one, the iPhone, 30% less battery and 5G on, 5G off, 30% better battery life. This guy, no difference. So is that an Android? Is that an issue? Is it a Samsung issue? Is it just an iPhone issue? I don't know. You have to test it yourself. How to do it is at shellypalmer.com. It is a really easy, simple thing for you to do. So please just, for yourself, go to shellypalmer.com and you'll see the settings, or if you know how to do it, just, do it because you can. And you'll find the story there. You'll find the settings for the iPhone or for the Android phone. Do the test yourself. I mean, whatever your experience is, that's the experience. So if you're getting better battery life turning it off, turn it off. If you're getting better battery life not mattering, then it doesn't matter. Like, don't make yourself crazy over this. It's either it's going to matter to you or it isn't. Before I get to NFTs, which I promised, and I will get to it, I want to talk about one more story because this one is important and I don't want a day to go by. Microsoft yesterday uncovered a hack. It's a 0-day hack. It exploits some vulnerabilities in Microsoft Exchange Server that are the on-premises version. If you are a user of on-premises Microsoft Exchange servers, meaning you've got your own servers, you have your own copy of Exchange, and you're responsible for patching it, and it lives with you as opposed to living at Microsoft. This has nothing to do with Office 365. This has nothing to do with Microsoft Exchange that you might get from another provider. This is you doing your thing. If this is what you do, there's a really good chance that your server needs to be patched. The hackers now know this. Why do they know? Because Microsoft blogged about it yesterday. There's a time lag between when Microsoft announces something on their blog and when you are going to patch it. That's a natural time lag. Whatever the hackers are going to do, this is when they're going to do it. So it's really more dangerous right this week than it normally is for people who have on-premises Microsoft Exchange servers. Not everybody does. So I'm not, I don't know that you do or don't. I don't know that you will or won't. I don't know that it's going to become an issue for you. But if you have an IT department, I'd ask. It was widely publicized, but maybe not so much as other things that have been publicized. They blamed the Chinese. It got political very quickly. They didn't have any evidence as to why they thought it might be Chinese state actors, but they were pretty convinced that because of the way this was done, that's exactly what this was. That the group, I think, is called Hafnium. Microsoft's aware of them and feels that that's who this was based on the techniques used for this hack. That, of course, made this instantly political, which it may be. I mean, I have no issue of calling stuff out. It's fine, but understand that if just making it political doesn't make it go away. This is not something you believe in or don't believe in. This isn't something that's right or wrong. Or it's not the Chinese, it's the Russians. It doesn't matter who it is. They're in your server. They're in your server. So, politics second and cybersecurity first. I think that would be my rule. Cybersecurity first. That would be my advice today. All right, we had a couple of questions about NFTs. Cryptocurrency is good for, well, I should say blockchain is good for cryptocurrency, and cryptocurrency is good for certain things. Anonymous purchases using cryptocurrency is a little oversold because you're not exactly anonymous. You still have to have a digital wallet. I mean, some people can be anonymous. You need to go to great lengths to be truly anonymous with crypto. You just do. But in practice, cryptocurrency is good for transactions with people you don't trust. Blockchain is good for a couple of things. Tokenization is one of the things blockchain does beautifully. It puts an invariant, indelible record of your contribution to some piece of digital content in a place that is important as a storage environment, but also checkable and verifiable. It's great for, I wrote a song. I want to take fragments of this song and follow it around so that if I own performance rights as a composer or a publisher, and I want to tokenize this digital content so that I can collect royalties, blockchain is amazing for that. And tokenization is amazing for that. And I have seen dozens of really, really nice solutions, both proof of stake solutions and proof of work solutions that should be and hopefully one day will be distributed widely so that music and video can be protected this way. It's a nice way to protect intellectual property and to build royalty schemes that are fair, far fairer than the samples. Many of you who know me know that I've been a composer, producer my whole professional life, actually from childhood. I've written a ton of music for television. In fact, years ago, when I was doing it absolutely full time, I won ASCAP's 12th and 13th annual Film and TV Awards for most performed themes on television. And that is not a quality award. That does not say anything about the quality of my composing. I will leave that to the ears of the audience. That is a quantity award. It has to do with the amount of royalties I got for my public performances of my work in a given year. And they give out an award each year to the top 5 earners in royalties against various categories. That's what an ASCAP award is. It has nothing to do with how good of a composer you are, just the volume of your work and how much people are using it and listening to it. So I'm pretty familiar with performing rights societies and tokenization, and I'm pretty familiar with the technology, and I'm a pretty good technician. So and I'm highly motivated. So I've been looking very carefully at tokenization since blockchain started, because I think that is the fairest way for the royalty world, both audio and video, to go. NFTs are non-fungible tokens. That's what NFT stands for. And it is a type of crypto schema that allows you to have unique ownership of digital content. You can auction your content off. You can sell your content. It has a value all its own. And it has become super popular in the last few months. I think there's a little bit of a bubble, and there's maybe too much excitement about the technology right this second. People might be just a little overzealous about what it is and what it isn't. Some of the numbers that we see associated with NFTs right now are stunning. I mean, they're truly stunning. I have nothing but respect for people who are selling their artwork this way, who are selling their music this way. There have been some albums sold. There have been some fine art it's magnificent. So I'm watching it super closely. I'm very, very excited about it. Yeah, Grimes sold for $6 million in NFT this week. Yeah, that was a story that was in the news this morning. But there's so many more like that have been going on. I've been getting text messages, and I've been getting emails from friends who are in the music business about different albums that have been sold and different ways bands are monetizing their content by creating unique, ownable NFT content. And look, tokenizing the content. More power to everyone. I think it's important. We live in a digital world. Everything is digital all day, all long, all night. The analog whole is still real, right? The analog whole is you can have all the digital anything you want, but at some point a human being has to consume it. And until we are human machine fused, like we talked about in our human machine fusion seminar, where the electrodes go directly into your body and you personally can interpret digital content. You have to see something on a screen in order for the light to fall incident on your retinas and then your brain to interpret it. And the sound, the airwaves have to move, and the sound pressure has to hit your body and your tympanic membrane and the bones in your ears. And you have to, in order for you to interpret that vibration as sound, it needs to become analog, which means that no matter how digital a piece of content is, there's always an analog hole. There's always a way to pirate it. There's always a way to copy it. Always. End of story. Always. I don't care what you do. I'm going to screen grab a video that I want. I'm going to screen grab an image that I want. There's nothing you can do to stop it. And even if that image quality literally is just me putting this on a tripod and clicking it, if I am somebody who wants it, I'm going to get it. And then, remember in the old VHS pirating days, people go in, they'd take a handy cam and they'd shoot a movie in a movie theater, put it on VHS and sell it. It's like there's an analog hole. So the idea of an authentic NFT, is this an authentic piece of art? Yes, the blockchain will tell you it's an authentic piece of art. It hasn't been hacked, blah, blah, blah. This is a wonderful thing. I'm very bullish on it. I'm hoping it is. I'm really, really hoping that the hype thing comes down into something that's more levelized and then it becomes commonplace. We're approaching the witching hour, so I just want to invite everybody to be here next week. Our salons, of course, you know, I'm going to start my Clubhouse strategy is to start Clubhouse sometime in the next little bit. We'll probably start our Clubhouse rooms as early as next week, and I hope you'll come and join me there. Don't forget TikTok, because that's like That's where the cool kids meet. And as I always do, I just really want to thank you for being here with me today. This is the most important time for me. I really appreciate the chat. I really love that you guys talk with one another. And I really appreciate you talking to me. If you need me, you know where to find me, Shelly at shellypalmer.com. And I hope to see you next time. Everybody stay safe. Look forward to seeing you again.